Two CSS properties allow you to add a drop shadow to elements without the need for images. Text shadow works with text, and box shadow applies to all other elements. The values expected by both properties are almost identical, so I'll cover both in this lesson. I'll begin by adding a drop shadow to this main heading in the Pacific Highway case study. Then I'll add a photo effect to these teaser images down here. So let's turn on Live View, and then in the CSS Designer select highway.css, and it's the H1 selector that I want. Select that, and then in the Properties pane select Text and scroll down to find Text Shadow. You set a text shadow by setting a horizontal offset, a vertical offset, any amount of blur that you want, and the color of the shadow. And although color is listed last, it's best to set it first because then you can see the effect in Live View. So click the color box to open the color picker. I want to base the color of the shadow on the original color of the heading, so I'm going to select hex there, and the original color was hash 577A99. But for a shadow it's far better to have some alpha transparency, so I'm going to convert that now to RGBA by clicking the RGBA button and changing the alpha slider, moving it down to about 50%. It doesn't have to be absolutely accurate, that's fine. With the horizontal and vertical offsets, positive values move the shadow to the right and down, negative values move it to the left and up. I'm going to use a very small positive value, 1 pixel, for both horizontal and vertical. And then the blur I'm going to set to 3 pixels. And you might not have noticed the change that has taken place here in Live View. It's a very subtle change, but you can see the effect if I temporarily disable text shadow by clicking this icon here. It's turned it off. I now turn it back on again. Very slight subtle effect. It just makes the text pop a little. So that's how you add a text shadow. Let's move down to the teaser images, and I'll just select one of the teaser images, and in the selectors pane it's selected teaser figure. If I scroll up to the top, the width is 250 pixels. I'm going to increase that to 260 pixels because I want to add 5 pixels of padding all around the images that are inside the figure. I need to create a new selector for the images inside the figure, so it'll be .teaser and then img for image. And in the properties pane, scroll down, padding, click that icon in the center so that the value is the same on all sides, and set the padding to 5 pixels. Then I'm going to add a background color, so that's the background section that I need to go to, background color, and it will be white. Set that to hexadecimal. Now that hasn't made any perceptible difference to this image here, but you'll soon see the effect. What we need to do now is to add the box shadow, which is in the border category, and scroll down to find that. There it is right down at the bottom. This has the same offsets for horizontal, vertical, and also the blur setting. Spread is an extra setting for box shadow, and that spreads out the color beyond the boundaries of the element. There's also the color of the shadow, and you've got the option to make the shadow inset inside the element. So let's select the color, and the color that I want for the shadow is a very dark gray. I'm just going to scroll up here a little bit and turn it to RGBA, and then add some alpha transparency, about 80% I think. That looks fine. And the horizontal offset, I'm going to set that to 1 pixel, and the vertical offset to 1 pixel. And it looks as though we're getting a border here, but it is actually a shadow. The effect will become obvious once I change the blur, and I'm going to make it a very large blur of 15 pixels. And there we are. There is the photo effect that was created by adding 5 pixels of padding all around the image. And this effect was created by adding 5 pixels of padding all around the image, giving the image a background color of white, and then adding box shadow. The horizontal and vertical offsets of the shadow are only 1 pixel, but it has a very large blur radius of 15 pixels. So that's how you create drop shadows with CSS. Use text shadow for text and box shadow for all other elements. Box shadow is supported by all modern browsers, but not by Internet Explorer 8 or earlier. Text shadow is supported by all modern browsers, but not by Internet Explorer 9 and earlier. Both properties expect a horizontal offset and a vertical offset. Positive values set the shadow to the right and down. Negative values set the shadow to the left and up. You can also set the amount of blur that you want on the shadow and the color. Colors usually work best if they have alpha transparency. And box shadow has 2 extra options. Spread increases the spread of the color beyond the element, and inset sets it inside the element.